What's going on, everybody? You already know who it is. It is your boy, TheDryerNewt here. And in today's video, following my how to aim in Call of Duty, I'm going to be giving you guys the best Call of Duty graphic settings for you to see clearly, to make your game run as smooth as possible, and to have it to be to where you have less input lag and all that. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So we are going to be going right down into the graphic settings. And I always have my display on full screen. I was playing at 1440p, but I actually switched back to my 1920 by 1080 BenQ 240 hertz monitor. And the only reason why is I just wanted to have higher frame rates. I have a 3070 and a 5900X. So don't get me wrong, 1440p was good, and I was getting like 160 FPS stable, but something is just different with like 200 on up FPS, just smooth. Like your lows are 200 FPS. I can't get that at 1440p. I can get that at 1080p. So that's a big thing. So make sure that you can have at least a stable FPS. It doesn't drop or like go around everywhere. I have dynamic resolution off. Resolution, this doesn't matter. Aspect ratio is 16 by 9 because I play at 1080p. I do not use VSync. You don't want to use VSync if you are a competitive gamer. Again, these are the competitive Call of Duty settings. I have a custom frame rate. I set my max frame all the way up to 300 and my menu frame to 60 and my out of focus frame. Out of focus custom frame rate is just when you alt tab, that's going to be your frame rate. It's going to drop down to 30. But the reason why I have this is because I don't want my GPU working max all the time in the menus. So basically I just have my in-game since FPS at 300. My brightness I have at 5.1 or 51.83, sorry. This is just basically, you don't want to have it to where like this shows because your game's going to look really hazy. I suggest keeping it around the 50 to 55 mark, anywhere in between there, but it all depends on what type of monitor you have. I also have my display on sRGB2. I mean, you guys can use this one, but I find sRGB2 to look really good. NVIDIA highlights, turn that off. And NVIDIA low latency, I have enabled plus boost because this game is really CPU dependent. So I have it enabled plus boost, okay? So for the quality settings, field of view, I play at 120. I have maxed out my field of view. I love having the game feel faster and just making it, I don't know, feel faster and me being able to see more and more on the side. If you guys are coming from console from 80, I suggest you start out at like a FOV of 105 and then work your way up from there. Most pros, they play at 100 to 105, even up to 110. But for me, 120 is just what I'm used to, and that's what I've been playing at for years since I've been playing on PC. So my streaming quality, I have low, very low, and low. Everything is low, guys. You want the maximum frame rate that you can possibly get. Particle quality is high, and this kind of helps with like the blurriness, especially at 1080p. Keeping it on high just helps with seeing enemies more clear. Bullet impacts and sprays, you can turn this off if you want a little bit, like 3 to 4 more FPS, but it doesn't impact my system that much, so I keep it enabled. Tessellation, I have disabled. Dismemberment and gore effects, you can turn this off if you want. I keep it on because I just like the dismemberment and gore effects, so I keep it on. But if you want a little bit more FPS, you can turn this off. Okay. On-demand texture streaming, I have disabled. Film strength, I have this set to 1. So basically, I don't use any anti-aliasing or anything. So it recommends it to set to 1 to avoid any issues. Film grain, turn this off. You don't want to have grain, like your game to look grain. You want it to look clear and crispy. You do not want this on, okay? NVIDIA DLSS, now I never liked this, just mainly because it added like, it looked like blur in the background. Even when I was on 1440p, I never liked anti-aliasing and I never liked any of that. So I keep NVIDIA DLSS off. If you guys are playing at like 4K, or have a 1440p monitor and you don't mind anti-aliasing, I would go ahead and enable this. I know that back in a couple of months ago, there's a problem with NVIDIA DLSS when it was enabled, that it actually didn't line up your crosshairs or something like that, but that was fixed now. So this is good to use if you want to use it, play around with it. Anti-aliasing, like I said, I don't like anti-aliasing. I turn it off. Depth of field, turn this off. Basically what this does is when you ADS, everything around you is blurry. So on the picture on the right, you see how like that wall is blurry. I don't like that. You want to have it off, because see the picture on the left, with it disabled, then you see everything. You want to see everything in your peripheral, especially like when you're ADSing. Like if you have to flick onto somebody, that will make it a lot easier to see. World motion blur, turn this off. You do not want motion blur. Trust me, just don't turn motion blur on. Okay, just off. Weapon motion blur off. We don't need motion blur. We hate motion blur. I don't even know why these are in these games, because no one should be playing with motion blur. Okay, you want it to be nice and crisp when you're turning around. Shadow map resolution, I have this on low. There's still some shadows in the game, but keeping it on low, this will increase your FPS by a ton. Enable and cache spot shadows and cache sun shadows, you want this on. You get more FPS with these on than off. Particle lighting, I keep on low. Some people like to play with it on ultra, but I keep it on low because I just like it on low. I don't like it high with the particle effects. Okay, DirectX ray tracing, you want this off. Whenever you're playing Call of Duty, turn this off. You can turn it on if you're playing campaign, but turn this off if you're playing multiplayer. You do not want this on. Ambient occlusion, you can have this disabled. I like it disabled because more FPS and I just don't see a difference with it. Okay, and screen space reflections, you want this disabled. Turn this off. Don't turn it on, turn it off. And that's basically everything that I have when it comes to my settings, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below if this increased your FPS. Next video is going to be on my Windows settings and basically my NVIDIA control panel settings and everything I use. So guys, always remember to stay blessed and humble, and I'll catch you in another video. Peace.